With a decade of experience under my belt, few things in the automotive industry come as a surprise for me these days. Like chess, strategy becomes predictable with enough practice. But every once in a while, something shoots out of left field that catches me off guard. And this was one of those moves that caught me off guard. Good morning, Encik Roslan.
Morning, Evan.
In the first half of 2025, GWM has posted record-breaking sales, some 20.2% increase over the same period last year, and also eclipsing the entirety of the sales volume for last year. How do you feel about that, and what has been the primary driver for GWM's acceptance in the country?
Because I'm new to GWM, this is coming to my fourth week in GWM. Looking into the past record, the contribution factors basically is from the model that introduced by GWM and mainly contributed by the Haval H6 and also the introduction of the Tank 300, then also followed by the Tank 500. Well, we looked into the acceptance, although some said the price is high, but it was well accepted by the customers on this model.
Given the fact that the sales numbers are as strong and healthy as they are now, how do you see GWM maintaining that trajectory for the remainder of 2025 and moving into 2026?
Well, that's very challenging for us because I think you observe the competition is very stiff. Means the price war is affecting not just GWM, affecting all other car brands also. Then what we are doing now is we keep pushing the dealers by enhancing communication to public on the advantage of the GWM models. And on top of that, we also enhance on our marketing, on our activities to shout on the GWM products and also where are the dealers they are about to attract the attention of the public coming to the GWM dealership.
Encik Roslan, you are a veteran in the automotive industry with about 3 decades, or a little bit over 3 decades of experience, having gone from established car brands to other established car brands. So in that line, what made you choose to shift your career to GWM, especially at this stage of your career?
I've been observed GWM I think for the past 10 years. When the first entry way back 2010, 2011, I believe they can shake the market. Unfortunately, there wasn't, and that's why the previous company I joined, they can achieve or make a record breaker, right? And now I see they come back for the last 2 years. And I see there is an opportunity to challenge myself to bring GWM to another height, considering the product that they have is suitable for the Malaysian market, for the Malaysian public at large, and of course on top of that, and how the GWM can contribute to the Malaysian economy as a whole.
Now, talking about, or going back to sales figures earlier, you mentioned that the majority of the volume was driven by Haval. Now, Haval is not a new brand in Malaysia. It is a brand that some Malaysians are quite familiar with. As you mentioned earlier, there has been a significant history to the Haval brand in Malaysia. But what's changed now that GWM is involved themselves?
What's the difference now is because now GWM Malaysia is kind of national sales company. So we are directly of the GWM headquarters. So what we're doing now is we are involved directly, for example, we are involved directly with media engagement. We involved directly with appointing of our dealers. And we involved directly into our localization of, now we look into the assembly process, and soon we also look into the parts localization. So everything what changed now is we are dealing directly, we are managing directly. We can choose whatever that models that are suitable for the Malaysian market.
Going a little bit further in on that, so it's quite clear to us that the Haval that we have today is a different generation from the Havals that we had in the past. How is GWM Malaysia supporting its legacy customers?
Okay, what we do now is we are promised to the existing customers or even the current owner of the previous Haval that we are supporting them. We are supplying the spare parts. We make sure the spare parts availability. We make sure that our dealers are trained how to maintain or to service or the previous Haval. What we want to tell is, if you bought Haval, we have got your back, whether it past or present and also future.
I'm sure that's a resounding siren call for existing Haval customers. Continuing on to the Haval portfolio, now at the moment we understand the Haval H6 HEV is locally assembled, but that is also now the only locally assembled model for Haval. Now, given your experience in the automotive industry, should we be prepared to see that local lineup expand? And more importantly, should we see or be prepared for more local involvement in the GWM lineup as a whole?
Yes, that's the direction currently. Because what we see now, the local assembly of Haval is just like a foundation. Now we are considering other models what we can be locally assembled. I think we made announcement earlier about the V80, the MPV. That also, inshallah, will be locally assembled. And if God willing, we also plan not just locally assembled in Malaysia, but we plan also to export this model to Thailand and Indonesia. So on top of that, we also considering other models that give a good feasibility study for localization. On top of that, I'm also proposing to HQ what are the components that we can locally produce. And if we don't produce the models here, but we can produce the model, the parts locally, and we can export because we have a very good infrastructure in terms of a supply chain, in terms of vendor system in Malaysia, and I believe they are able to compete, to manage, to match whatever price produced by other vendors outside Malaysia.
Now, talking, or rather going back to something that you mentioned about the Way 80. Now, the Way brand being the most upmarket, the most premium brand in the GWM lineup, the Way 80's arrival in Malaysia would make it not only the first export market for Way, for right-hand drive, especially for the Way 80, but also we would be the first market with assembly outside of China for the Way brand. So does that mean that this would be considered its own separate project, or will the localization of the Way 80 be considered as part of, again, the GWM umbrella, as part of that same push in order to try and export and become a more significant regional player for GWM Malaysia?
Okay, what we looking now, the way GWM direction is, their intention is basically is to expand their overseas business. On top of that, also increase in terms of localization, means not just simply export from China. That will not benefit those importation countries. The way that GWM direction from the chairman himself is we have to expand. Okay, so V80 is, I can put it as a similar concept that what we're looking into on how that Thailand operation, whereby they assemble tanks, they produce tank in Thailand, but it being exported to Malaysia as well as Indonesia, of course for their own Thailand domestic market. So similar also for V. Then we also looking what are other models that we can do the same, because we still studying what are the models that can get or we can sell in Malaysia with the right price, right volume, then will justify on the investment we have to invest for the assembly of production in Malaysia.
Now, with the Way 80 set for local assembly, it seems quite clear that China is looking at Malaysia with a very different set of eyes now, understanding that we are an important and key right-hand drive market. That doesn't seem to have been the prevailing opinion from previously? So what's changed for GWM in terms of its opinion of the Malaysian market, and how did that thought process lead to where it is now?
Okay, what I observe on the GWM direction change now, because in the past is appointed the distributor. So with the distributor operation, there are kind of restriction because there is engagement between the distributor and GWM HQ themselves. Then after they observe the market, what is the success story of other China OEMs that came to Malaysia? So it's something that a good reference, because those who came to Malaysia, they have able to penetrate certain market share, and some of the existing players has been affected with the penetration of the China OEMs. So because of that, it's good opportunity for the Malaysian market to be considered part of their right-hand drive strategy. Just like I mentioned earlier, and how tank being produced in Thailand, how the way later on will be produced in Malaysia for the ASEAN, the three major ASEAN countries. And on top of that also, how the Malaysian customers acceptance on the quality of the car. And I believe whatever cars produced by GWM, they are produced in a good quality car and with good features, which is can meet the Malaysian customers' expectation.
Now, I'd like to touch on features for a moment. GWM at this juncture has a lineup that consists largely of new energy vehicles, be it series hybrids, parallel hybrids, or in some cases, series parallel hybrids, as well as two EVs. Will GWM continue to spearhead new energy technologies and new energy powertrains for its lineup moving forward? Or will there still remain a comfortable mix of traditional combustion vehicles and combustion engine cars along with electrified models moving forward?
At the moment, you can see that GWM have the EV, have the HEV, and also PHEV. So at the moment, what I can see, the development even being announced by GWM China headquarters, they are still focusing on these three powertrain, because these still meet the customers' requirement, and also to match the infrastructure. Of course, EV is best for the world, right? But in terms of the infrastructure and even in terms of the consumer or customers' acceptance, they are still challenging to how to compete in the market. Even the current Aura both model that we are sustaining, although the volume is not big, but it is sustained quite well for the past 1 year. And we look into the hybrid Haval H6 that giving the popularity is increasing because on how that being verified by ASEAN Book of Record on the achieving the good fuel consumption, fuel efficiency, and whereby for the tank 300, tank 500, meeting the requirement of those that like good lifestyle of the 4x4, even for the tank 500, a good lifestyle, or even good for the corporate image. So this is something that we are focusing more on the design. We also, at the same time also, we also focusing on the what is the powertrain that acceptable to the market, and of course that everything goes back what is the good numbers on the investment, return on investment.
Now, before we adjourn, I'd like to ask with regards to reliability and dependability. Now, GWM naturally coming into the market a couple of years ago, setting up its own national sales company, it still brings about the question of whether or not these cars are reliable, and more importantly, how is GWM supporting its new customers? So can we touch a little bit on what are GWM's investments towards after-sales experience, towards that imprint and impression of quality that's being made post-sale?
Of course, in terms of the quality, all the cars being produced, being well inspected by the quality personnel. Even the same process also are being conducted in our local assembly plant in Alugajah. And for after sales, currently we have officially 26 outlet, and on top of that, there are combination of 1S or 2S that makes of 29. We are aiming going for 35 this year. So this is going to give convenience to our customers, and there's no point that we have outlet but no spare parts. We also ensuring the spare parts availability, not just for the current model that we're selling. We also focusing on the previous Haval for us to manage and to service their cars, because we believe a good quality, a good brand will give a good sustainability for GWM Malaysia to move forward.
Now, lastly, Encik Roslan, as a certified petrol head yourself, as someone with, again, over 3 decades of experience in the automotive industry, what in the future of GWM here in Malaysia excites you most? What are you most looking forward to? And what do Malaysians have to look forward to from GWM in the coming months?
Okay, that's very interesting question, and it's very subjective. I mentioned earlier, GWM has been among the first China brand that came to Malaysia about more than 15 years ago. And Malaysian public at large know GWM, but some knows Haval, right? Some also know Ora, but some cannot sort of relate it to GWM, whereby GWM is the main brand covering selling Haval, Ora, Tank, and so on. So the opportunity that I look is how to make sure or to ensure Malaysian aware about the GWM existence and what are the products they are producing and selling. And on top of that, the behind of the GWM inspiration, whereby you can see although this is China OEMs that normally we are aware about their acquisition of the technology or acquisition of the company, but GWM kind of focusing on their independent continuous innovation. That's really attract me, and whereby the product also is very, I think some of the media, based on the media comment, based on test drive, even from the customers itself comment that the cars are good, reliable, and fuel efficient. So with the current product portfolio, with the current situation on the Malaysian market, I foresee there's a huge potential for GWM Malaysia to expand its coverage as well as expand its market share in Malaysia.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Encik Roslan, and your candor. Sometimes things shoot out of left field that catch me off guard, but the excitement of new prospects is something that very few can push aside, even for industry veterans far more experienced than myself.